Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Moa aka Swedish Whiskey Girl, and welcome to another one of my videos in my Support Your Local series that I'm doing this week. Today we're going to have a little look at Eden Mill. This is the Hipflask series number 8, which is a single malt Scotch whisky. It's been matured in port hogsheads and it's been made using pale malt. So, Eden Mill is a fairly new distillery here in the Lowlands, which is located close to St Andrews, here on the east coast, a little bit further up north than Edinburgh. And they are also a brewery, and they also make gin. So they have a few different things that they are doing there. And this Hipflask series is kind of a range that they've chosen from what they call a honey cask, so an outstanding cask of its kind of category. It's everything from wine casks to sherry casks to virgin oak and to of course port that I have here in front of me. And they're all single casks that have been bottled in these 20 cl bottles to give as many people as possible a chance to try them. And this bottle I believe is one of 1,200. And unfortunately I haven't had the chance to go up to St Andrews yet, but it looks like a really lovely place, and when we go I'd love to be able to do a tour of this distillery of course as well, and check out both the beers and the gin and the whiskey of course as well. So I thought it would be a kind of fun thing to have a little look at this distillery. They released their kind of core expression of single malt in 2019. And another really interesting thing about the Hipflask series is that they also use different kinds of malts. So they can use chocolate malt or pale malt like they have for this one to just kind of experiment with it, and I just love that idea. But let's start by having a little look on the nose. This is such an interesting nose. You can definitely tell that it's quite young because it has this kind of fresh vegetal note to it, but the vegetal note is mixed in with something else, like a berry note, which of course could come from those port casks. What kind of berry is that though? It's almost like something like a red currant or like mixed with a strawberry or something. It's almost like a sour berry note. But definitely the berries and this freshness you get from new make, so you can kind of see the new make character coming through. Let's have a little taste. Slangeva. Quite musty on the palate. There's definitely this kind of youthful, vibrant, lingering feeling, quite vegetal, but in a really nice way. This kind of berry vegetal notes. The berries I would say is less dominant on the palate than they are on the nose. Yeah, it's like red currants, or like if you rub currant leaves and you smell them. Lovely. Still quite fresh. Definitely like those currant leaves, because it does have that vegetal note mixed in with that slight berry vibe. I think it's really interesting, even though you can taste that it's quite young. It's interesting when they're doing this kind of combination of using different malts and using different casks and making it something that's just... I love trying young whiskies because it really gives you a chance to see the new make coming through and what characteristics it's taking from different aspects of like the oak, for example, or maybe the pale malt coming through. I wouldn't say it's that malty, but it's more that kind of vegetal note and that, yeah, red currant leaves. And it does have this kind of spiciness in the middle that is very similar to flavours you often get in new make. And I know a lot of people might try something that's quite young and I think There's some people that might not appreciate the flavour of new make or the flavour of like youthfulness coming through. Of course, if you're used to older malts, this will be something very different to you, something very new. But I think where I am in my whiskey journey, I find it fascinating. And some people might find it offensive, but I think you're just, of course, if that's what you like, then stick to what you like. But if you're a little bit experimental, or you're maybe a little bit nerdy, or maybe a little bit adventurous, then I think I love this idea of the Hipflask series, and I really want to try other ones, and of course their core range whiskey as well, or their kind of flagship whiskey. And yeah, I mean, I really appreciate whiskey for what it is, and it's a fascinating one for me. But I would of course love to hear what you think. Have you tried anything from Eden Mill? Have you tried their new flagship whiskey perhaps? Or have you tried any of the Hipflask series? I think they're up to like maybe 14 different expressions, so there's so many to choose from. And I've so far only tried this port expression. I'll of course keep my eyes open for other expressions in the future. And of course, if you like what I'm doing here on YouTube and my other social channels and you'd like to support me, I would of course be absolutely thrilled if you consider using my affiliate links with either Master Malt, the Whisky Exchange, or the Scotch Malt Whisky Society the next time you're shopping with them. All that information is in the description here below, as well as links to my website, my Patreon, my Teespring shop, and my Instagram if you're curious about that. And as always, a massive thank you to my wonderful supporters on Patreon. Your support means so much to me, and thank you for following me through my whiskey journey. I hope you've all had an absolutely wonderful day, and of course if there's any of your local distilleries or drinks companies or anything that you think I should check out, please put it in the comments below. Basta lang, skål!